I want to thank everybody for the tremendous support. I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
Breaking news tonight. Earlier this afternoon, President Donald Trump was taken to Walter Reed Medical Center. This after the president and the First Lady announced on Twitter they had both tested positive for COVID-19. The president is 74 years old. When leaving the White House, the president walked out on his own accord right there to Marine One. The White House says the president's son Barron has tested negative.
The president was sent to the military hospital out of an abundance of caution. According to the White House, the president will spend several days there receiving treatment. As of the latest update, the president was experiencing fatigue, fever, and a cough. And there are multiple reports also that he is experiencing at least some trouble breathing. He's been injected now with an experimental antibody cocktail.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone. I'm Whitney Ward. President Trump making the initial announcement about his diagnosis on Twitter late last night, saying we will now begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. He says we will get through this together. Then in a tweet this morning, the First Lady thanked those who have already sent love to her and the president. She said she is feeling good overall and looking forward to a speedy recovery.
The positive results came after one of President Trump's closest aides, Hope Hicks, tested positive for the virus. She spent time near the president this week, including aboard Air Force One. Hicks had also traveled to several events with President Trump this week, including the debate on Tuesday and to his rally in Minnesota on Wednesday. So far, Hicks is the closest aide to President Trump to test positive for COVID-19. It is not clear if the president got the virus from Hicks, nor how long that he has had it. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell spoke to the president this morning and said that he was in good spirits.
In fact, he and I also talked business during the course of our discussion this morning. I want to wish him and the First Lady well, and I'm confident he'll be able to get through this and recover.
As of this hour, we also know Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden has tested negative for the virus. Just in the past hour, he tweeted, "This cannot be a partisan moment." He says it must be an American moment. We have to come together as a nation.
Vice President Mike Pence tweeted his support for the president and the First Lady, saying, quote, "We join millions across America praying for their full and swift recovery." The latest in political figures sending well wishes to the president and the First Lady as well, and that is former President Barack Obama. He said, quote, "Michelle and I hope that the president, the First Lady, and all those affected by the coronavirus around the country are getting the care they need and are on the path to a speedy recovery."
And local lawmakers from across the political spectrum are also sending their well wishes. Washington Governor Jay Inslee says he hopes the president and First Lady have a speedy recovery. He tweeted this morning saying the virus does not discriminate based on our politics. We hope everyone will protect their health and the health of those around them by doing what we know works.
Idaho Governor Brad Little said that he and his wife are also sending prayers their way. He also wrote, quote, "The pandemic is not over and we must remain vigilant in defense of the virus. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Together, we will get through these unprecedented times."
And Eastern Washington Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers also tweeted about the president and First Lady this morning. She says she is praying for their health and a speedy recovery.
Senator Patty Murray sending her support as well and wishing for the president and the First Lady having a good recovery. She tweeted, "This is a terrible disease and it continues to impact families all across the country."
Now, throughout the course of this pandemic, we have heard a lot about risk factors for coronavirus that may make them more susceptible to complications. So with news of the president's hospitalization, there are now a lot of questions about his potential risk factors. So here's what we know.
So according to the CDC, the president's age is one factor that puts him at a higher risk of adverse effects from the virus. CDC data states that at the age of 74, the president is 5 times more likely to be hospitalized than someone between the ages of 18 to 29. He is also 90 times more likely to pass away from complications related to the coronavirus than someone between 18 and 29. However, most people who contract the coronavirus, even at his age, do recover.
Another risk factor is Trump's weight. According to the president's latest medical report, he is 6 foot 3 inches tall, weighing 244 pounds. That means his BMI, or body mass index, is 30.5, which just puts him over the CDC's threshold for obesity. And that can mean a person is up to 3 times more likely to need hospitalization than those with a lower BMI for coronavirus. Of course, these are just statistics. statistics. The president is receiving excellent treatment at this time, and the White House says he is at the hospital only out of an abundance of caution. But since the news broke of the president and First Lady's diagnoses, Wall Street has been on edge. Futures indicated the market would start lower this morning, which it did, and overseas markets also came under pressure, adding yet another degree of uncertainty to ongoing worries about the political landscape and the economy. Also tonight, we did want to put what is happening into context, so we did reach out to Dr. Robert Donnelly. He is an associate history professor here at Gonzaga University.
He said it is pretty common for presidents to go to Walter Reed for treatment for things like the flu, but not for prolonged treatments.
But it's rare that a president would have to go to the hospital for long-term treatment, except for, again, Reagan for the assassination attempt. But for the most part, in 20th century presidential history, the presidents kind of tend to hide their ailments.
So the second presidential debate is now scheduled for just 2 weeks from now. Many, though, are wondering, will there even be a second debate now that the president has contracted the virus?
And that has led to a lot of online claims. So our Verify team's Jason Puckett is breaking down the most viral claims.
We're talking about the president and first lady testing positive for COVID-19 and what that means this close to an election, and what Senator Mike Lee's positive diagnosis could mean for the vote to advance Judge Amy Coney Barrett as the Supreme Court nominee. First question, if the president is sick, can the election be delayed? Yes, but Congress would have to make that decision, and they don't have much time. Article 2 of the Constitution says Congress determines the time of the vote. The law currently sets Election Day as the first Tuesday following the first Monday of November. So Congress would have to pass a new law to change that, requiring approval by both the House and Senate. However, the 20th Amendment says that the new Congress and president must be in place by January. Next question. What happens with the election if a candidate drops out of the race this late? Well, according to the bylaws of both the Democratic National Committee and Republican National Committee, the leadership of both parties would decide who replaces the candidates. That's only happened once in 1972 when VP candidate Thomas Eagleton resigned from the Democratic ticket after the DNC. Party leaders replaced him with another candidate. The big difference, though, that all happened in August. So what about the debates? The next presidential debate is scheduled for the 15th, less than 2 weeks from now. CDC guidelines for COVID-19 patients include isolating for at least 10 days after symptoms first appear. So will the next debate be moved, canceled, or done virtually? Well, right now, we don't know. The Commission on Presidential Debates hasn't said what they're doing in response to this news. As of now, the debates are still scheduled. The last question has to do with Senator Mike Lee's announcement that he tested positive for COVID-19 and is isolating right now. Senator Lee sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is scheduled to start nomination hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett to serve as a Supreme Court justice starting October 12th. Main question, can Senator Lee vote remotely if he's still isolated? We checked with the rules of the Senate Judiciary Committee and found the answer is yes. In the committee, a senator can vote, quote, by writing or by telephone or through personal instructions. However, if the vote moved past the committee while Lee was still isolating, he would have to return in person to vote on a Senate floor vote because voting by proxy is not allowed outside committees. Now, so far, both Mike Lee and Judiciary Committee Chair Senator Lindsey Graham both say Lee is planning to isolate now, but will return in person to vote on the nomination process. Folks, if you have other claims or questions for us to look into, send us an email. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
Breaking locally tonight, Spokane police say several people were detained following last night's deadly drive-by shooting on the lower South Hill. The people were detained at the Apple Tree Hotel on North Division. The shooting happened yesterday afternoon near East 5th Avenue and South Fisk Street. That's near the Fred Meyer at the bottom of the South Hill. The victim, a 15-year-old boy, was killed.
Now, police announced this morning they have arrested 20-year-old Elijah Davis in connection to this crime. He was initially charged with murder and drive-by shooting, although the drive-by shooting charge has since been dropped. A judge set Davis's bond at $1 million. We spoke with a restaurant owner right near the scene of that shooting whose employees heard the gunshots.
Young 14, 15-year-old kids working here, and so that was very shocking. And then for them to see overall, I mean, it was really traumatic for these people to see this going on right here in this neighborhood.
It's unclear what led up to the shooting, and the investigation is ongoing tonight. Anyone with information who has not already spoken with law enforcement is urged to call Crime Check. Well, we are expecting a warm weekend around the inland Northwest.
Hallelujah. Thomas Patrick joining us now for a look at maybe the best days to get outside this weekend. Thomas?
Can it be both days?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, then both days are going to be fantastic to get outside. Really, this whole week has been excellent weather-wise. It just continues right on through the weekend. Even right now, it looks just exceptional outside. Setting up for a beautiful sunset, which is in about 30 minutes time here. Still 74 degrees as of the 6 o'clock hour, and that in itself is pretty incredible when you consider it's just the first couple days of October. It was in the 70s, or right at 77 for Spokane Coeur d'Alene, a few 80s across some of the lower elevation areas, including Pullman, Moses Lake, and Omak for this afternoon. I think we'll be right at 80 degrees tomorrow in the Spokane area. Maybe just a little bit of a light haze overhead, but probably nothing worse than what we saw yesterday. Even today, it cleared up quite a bit. Otherwise, we're going to see plenty of sunshine. Again, both days this weekend looking excellent. And we stay in the 70s almost all of next week as well. Should be plenty warm, warmer than average, and plenty dry as well. But there is some rain chances a little bit later on in the long-term forecast. So I'll detail when you could expect that next rainfall for the area in just a few minutes.